childcare is infrastructure. It is just as essential to our economy as roads and bridges. There's a reason that we have public education that is funded by the government. It's funded by all of us together. And that's because, number one, it is essential for our economy. It is probably the most important public service that our tax dollars provide. And because the cost of providing adequate education would be too high for almost all parents to bear. Just like the cost of building our own roads is more than most individuals or businesses could bear. So we use taxes, we use government to do things that people cannot afford to or are not able to do themselves. And when you consider that 90% of brain development is happening from birth to 5, it is crazy that we are allowing our youngest, most precious citizens to be left on their own. And we're throwing parents to the wolves. And it has a huge impact on our economy as well. We spend less than virtually any other developed nation on childcare and early childhood education. And it creates all of these additional problems and inequities down the line. I mean, we could do so much to close opportunity gaps and to unleash every single child's potential by making sure that we had wonderful quality early childhood education available for every single kid. And this is something that is a federal and state responsibility. I do want to mention just briefly childcare counts because we haven't talked about that, and I think it's absolutely essential. This is a program that has been in place for the last couple of years to stabilize the childcare industry. We know that over the last 17 or so years, Wisconsin has lost over half of our childcare providers. And we all were describing the very dire state of affairs that is today. And that is with childcare counts, which has been federally funded for the last several years through pandemic relief dollars. Republicans in the state capitol, my colleagues on the Joint Finance Committee, decided to allocate $0 for childcare counts. So we are going from about $350 million over a 2-year period. That's what was being given to childcare centers and that they could use in the form of increased wages, not raising tuition for parents, buying supplies, anything that they needed to keep the doors open during the pandemic. So we're going from that investment, $350 million over 2 years, to zero. And if we think it's bad now, and it is, we have seen nothing yet. If the Republicans continue to say that they refuse to spend even $1 on childcare counts, we will see mass daycare closures. Some national organizations have estimated that Wisconsin could lose 80,000 childcare slots. Think about the impact that that is going to have on our economy, where we already have a huge workforce shortage, when 80,000 kids don't have care anymore.
In terms of affordability, I'm going to kind of hit in a background way, I guess, but by providing funding to childcare programs, they're able to pay their teachers better wages. So that makes it more affordable to families. We can stabilize our tuition rates, which that again will get that affordable. It also will make it more accessible. We can drive in more people to our field because they'll get paid better. Nobody wants to make, and I'm going to tell you, it used to be $10.66 an hour for a teacher who, the majority of them have some education of a higher level. A lot of them have associate's degrees. So just to let you know that. After the pandemic, we are officially on an average for the state of $13 an hour. Fond du Lac is roughly in that $12.66 average for what a teacher gets paid to watch anywhere from like say 10 3-year-olds by themselves, just to give you guys an idea of what we're doing. So accessibility, you are now opening up a lot more spots because more teachers are coming into this industry. More people are opening family centers because they're able to actually make an affordable and living wage for their families. And then quality, because we can pay more, we can expect a little bit more, and then that encouraging them to do coursework and having those additional degrees doesn't seem as such a heavy weight. Again, you get paid more, you do more education, you feel it should be compensated. It's not working that way. Teachers are all averaging out on that $13 an hour regardless. So I think hitting that affordability kind of will trickle down a little bit.
I can speak for my own center. I participated in the Childcare Counts program prior to closing my center, and with that money, I was able to give my staff bonuses because I wasn't able to give them a raise in pay, even when I would raise my wages for, or not my wages, my rates for the families. That wasn't enough to give a sufficient raise. So now we have these women and men who've been working and receiving these bonuses for 2 years now, between $500 and $700 a month. When that bonus money goes away, they've been reliant on that for this long. They're going to leave that job to find something else.
What the Republicans have proposed is, at best, totally inadequate, and at worst, harmful. So a couple of them have talked about a revolving loan program that would give interest-free loans to childcare centers to expand or to grow or to build. And, that's fine. I think they want to put 10 or $15 million in it. That's great. But if childcare centers don't exist, they are not going to be able to access a loan, even if it's interest-free, right? That really does very little to solve accessibility, affordability, or quality. And we've already seen childcare centers closing in anticipation of losing the childcare counts money. So this is an urgent problem. One of the most pernicious proposals from Republicans is to change the childcare ratios, to change the safety regulations. Right now in Wisconsin, we already have ratios that are higher than what is recommended. So if you're talking about infant care for very young babies, the recommendation is 1 adult for 3 babies. But in Wisconsin, it's currently 1 to 4. And what Republicans have proposed is raising those ratios for kids that are a little bit older, so 3, 4, or 5-year-olds. They've also proposed, as they have in other areas, rolling back child labor laws, so letting 16 and 17-year-olds have more autonomy. And I think I worked in the childcare room at my church when I was young, and that was a great experience. But there were always adults there, and the idea that we're going to leave our babies with teenagers who might be caring and responsible and want to do their best, it is just not safe. And that is not the answer to this issue. So I don't think very highly. I don't think these are serious proposals. And I think it shows that Republicans are willfully ignorant about the challenges that face parents and childcare providers. It shows that, when you look at the Joint Finance Committee, that there are probably more people on that committee that have never changed a diaper than people who actually have kids in daycare. I know what that's like.
The Republican proposals that were talked about, maybe some of those could be implemented in certain ways, but we're already in a crisis, and those aren't a fix right now. What we need right now is just to stabilize the childcare industry before we can talk about alternatives or incentives to open new centers or ways for businesses to get more involved. So in my work on the county board and the city council, I put together a resolution that will be introduced at the meetings next week, Tuesday's county board and Wednesday is city council, specifically asking my colleagues to join me in asking our state legislators to take up childcare counts at that special session on September 20th, because this is what providers in our area and across the state are saying that they need right now. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to fix the childcare industry, because there's so many issues that we've talked about tonight that are causing problems for parents and causing problems for providers. But if we can't get this funding through the state, as many of our panelists said, we're going to lose more centers. We're going to lose 80,000 childcare slots. So I'm asking all of you, if you're interested in this issue, to please reach out to people like me and people on the county board and the city council and just say if you support this, or you want to see action on childcare, that this is the place that we need to start. Then maybe we can talk about local solutions or more statewide solutions, but this is where I think the start needs to be, and then we can talk about other solutions after that.